Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Rachel Alltmont, Melanie Courtright, and Deborah Harding for our session, the Global Data Quality Initiative, Raising the Bar for Data Quality.
I want to start by saying that I hope you all leave today with one of three emotions. Either you're really excited about what we're doing, you really don't believe what we're doing and you want to talk more and get more information, or you feel like you need to think a little bit deeper about what your company is doing or could be doing to start to tackle quality. Some of you guys have seen this before. I think I talked about this last year, about 2 years ago here. Melanie and I were talking about quality and we decided we needed to start to do something that brought everyone together. And so we've created this partnership and it's focused on building really a collaborative opportunity for the profession. We want to build confidence around the data that we collect and deliver, and we're doing that through providing guidance and standards that enhance the value of the research that everyone in this room is doing. And you can see our industry association collaborators. We are growing by the month. We keep adding more associations. We are open to recommendations. If you see someone that you're a member of and they're not on there, we really want this to be an industry-wide initiative. This is not about owning it. You see three of us here throughout the year at different events. You see different groups of us talking because it's going to take all of us to drive this forward. Let's talk about the journey. So it starts with discussion and exploration of kind of what the issues have been. It's always evolving, but we're looking at where are they and what can we be doing together to start to push that forward. We've developed and are working on adoption of tools and benchmarks, and you'll see all of the tools that have been created already, and then working on adoption of standards as an industry around quality, and then how we measure and how we measure the impact and change that's going on. Okay, completed resources. I think we have 4 or 5 slides of everything we've completed in about 18 months. And what you'll see, and I'm not going to read exactly what everything is, but what we've shown you is what's been created and then who worked on it. And you'll start to see there's a lot of cross-association work going on. So the Global Data Quality Glossary, which to me was the most critical piece and foundational piece for us as an industry to create, we need to be talking in the same language. When we talk about quality, we need to know what is it a respondent, is it a participant, other key phrases. This, and all of these tools, I should say, are available on the GDQ website. We'll show that to you at the end, but there's an easy link. You can go find all of this. We have created a client's guide to data quality and online research designed to really increase client understanding around the process and how this is working. We have created GDQ is improving data quality and integrity through practical approaches. This is some work that MRS and VMO did with new guidance around identifying and classifying data quality approaches. We have done a document on how to improve research participant experience and enhance data quality. There is a tool around demographic best practices, the 37 questions from SMR to help buyers with online sample, the sample buyer's guide to project checklist, which is incredibly important and helpful. I clicked forward. Participant Bill of Rights. How many of you all are familiar with this document? We have some work to do. And this is what's so important, and this is why we're talking to you. The Participant Bill of Rights is so incredibly important, and you all have heard me say this for years. Our participants are actually our most important clients in this industry. We have to be protecting them. We have to be helping them understand what to expect in the experience. We have recently worked with TRS and Insights Association on creating incentive guidance, and there's a 2-part document on this that will be being promoted shortly, but helping you understand how to use incentives and a guide to all of that. Data quality fraud prevention course. How do we start to work together and educate our teams on how to do this? And we'll go more into this later, but Insights Association and the industry as a whole have come together to start doing data quality benchmarks. Let's look at where we are and let's start to track and understand how we're improving as an industry or where we're having challenges and where what needs to shift and how we do that together. We have done guidance on secure survey links to prevent fraud, and this you will see and learn more about coming up in our pledge, but how incredibly important it is and what an easy tool that can be used by the industry to start to decrease ghost completes by just securing our surveys at entry and exit points, not just at one. We also have produced a piece on mobile optimization research, and it's an annual report looking at mobile design and what are the best practices and implications of those best practices. And then what I'm most proud of, actually, is our data quality pledge. And actually, many people in this room have already signed it. And there's an opportunity at any time for anyone to join. I'm going to let Deborah talk more about this, but this was truly probably the most collaborative project I've ever worked on between the associations and between many of you at this event, of getting feedback of what we need to do, how we do it, and making a commitment to ourselves as our companies and our partners and our clients to make sure that we're moving that forward. So I'm going to hand it over to Deborah.
Good morning, everyone. It doesn't matter where I go in the world. Yes, I'm from London. You can probably tell by my accent. It doesn't matter where I go in the world. I always come off a very high stool to speak, and it's always very trepidatious, so I'm always glad to do it, get it done. Okay, so I'm here to talk to you about the Data Quality Pledge, which was formally launched just under 2 weeks ago. And this project is amazing. It is a collaborative project that's been born out of GDQ, but it is also probably one of the most important parts of the project journey that we have been on so far, because it's a way for businesses to demonstrate what they are doing to ensure that they're meeting data quality requirements, that they are being the best, that they're doing the things that they need to do so that when buyers of research sample know that they're getting the best that they can get in terms of data quality. And the important thing about the pledge is that it describes what expectations there are, but it doesn't say, and this is how you must do it. There is flexibility about how you do it, how you structure your processes, the kind of software that you might use, the kind of training that you might give. But the important thing is it must meet the actual requirements of the pledge in terms of upholding rigorous data quality standards, providing transparency, protecting participants' experience and rights, enabling education and collaboration, and of course, proactively supporting GDQ initiatives. So those are the most important things. So it comes under those 5 main areas. And under each of those, there is a number of statements of commitments that organizations need to sign up to. So let's just have a little bit of a collaborative exercise now. Put up your hand in the room if you think your organization has signed up to the pledge. Okay, that's a healthy number. That's pretty good. Well, thank you, first off, for all of those of you in the room who have signed up to the pledge. It's great that you've done that. This is actually the full list. It's 2 pages worth. I'm not going to read out every single brand. But I think the important thing to note is that as of today, 138 organizations across 5 continents have signed up to the pledge. So this is a global commitment that has taken, in 2 weeks, we've gone to 138. And we're already getting more pledges in overnight today, so that number is going to rise. So you should be looking around the room and seeing all the organizations that are on that list and knowing that you are among that community that has signed up to the pledge. So thank you. And also thank you also for engaging on social media and talking about the pledge, because actually the more engagement we get, the more organizations that haven't heard about the pledge will become aware of it. I think the important thing to note as well is you might think, oh, there's some people missing, there's some companies missing that I'd expect up there. We're also having really active discussions and engagements with organizations that want to meet the pledge, but just need to be sure in their minds about what it is that they need to do to be able to ensure that they meet all of the requirements. So I think that is really good news in terms of where we've got with the pledge, but it is just a stepping stone. Here is the QR code for those of you who haven't seen the pledge before and want to get more. Please do take a photograph of that and have a look for yourselves. But as I say, the important thing to note is that the pledge itself is just a stepping stone in the way that all of the GDQ initiatives, including those that Rachel has talked about, are stepping stones, because it's a very, very detailed jigsaw of what we need in order to be able to have comprehensive data quality. And it's not a case of, it's not a finite jigsaw, unfortunately. We are going to need to build building blocks and address those and address issues as we go along. Because I think the important thing is this isn't about are you a traditional business or are you a new tech business? Is it about innovation and versus traditional techniques? It's not about those things at all, because data quality is affecting all aspects of the supply chain, it's affecting all modes, and of course with technology and bad actors, they will always come up with new ways of trying to work around the system. And so as for us and for GDQ, the pledge is an evolving, a living document that we will look at and update as we get more understanding and issues that we need to address. But I think the really important point as well is that all of those organisations that you saw listed are all members of professional bodies. You can't sign up to the pledge without being a member of a professional body. And what that means is if we receive complaints about organisations that have signed the pledge that aren't meeting the requirements and expectations, we will investigate and we will do something about it. Now, this isn't a case of us wanting to haul companies in front of us and say, oh, naughty, you haven't met the pledge and oh, we're going to delist you. What we actually want to do is work with companies to improve their processes, to improve their training, to improve their approach, so that actually we all go on the journey together by improving data quality. So it should be an enabling sort of compliance as well as, if you like, a prohibitive one. And as I say, this is just a stepping stone. There is lots coming up. Now, I'm not going to go through all of the different things on this list, but we have got a lot of plans in the year ahead in terms of developing new tools. But I think the main thing that for us in terms of 2025, our big strategic goal is about brands and end clients. We need to engage them to understand much more about the data quality discussions and what the pledge means. But they are also, that's not to say that they're not already in that discussion. So last week was the MRS annual conference, which Melanie and I were both speaking at, and we were in a panel, and there was a very large financial client who was also on the panel with us. And he said quite categorically, he said, I can make the argument for getting more budget to buy better sample if I know the data quality is there. But I need to know that I can get the data quality that I need. And he was quite categoric about that. He says, I'm prepared to take that discussion and that fight to the procurement team. And I think that's really, really important point, is that clients actually, it's a delicate discussion, but it is a discussion that needs to be had. But they want data quality. They want to have clear buying signals. They want to know what they should be doing and who they should be working with. And I think it's been very timely for me, because I was actually talking with a very large media content company in the UK, one of the biggest in terms of TV content. And they were just going through their procurement process, and they just happened to contact me about some procurement issues. And they said, we just need to have something that, about data quality. And I said, well, there's the pledge. The next day, they changed their procurement approach, they put in the pledge, and as far as they're concerned, they're just doing the tender now. They will not speak to any organisation that isn't signed up to the pledge to get onto their procurement roster. This is the kind of signs of change. This is what we need as part of the equation. All of those of you who raised your hands earlier, you have made the pledge. You have committed to data quality. What we need to do as well, in terms of GDQ, is to ensure that the entire supply chain is understanding what that means and is signed up to that. And that's one of the focuses for us in the year ahead. And also, on the horizon as well, we are also thinking about things like audits and certification as well, because we don't want this to be a table without any legs. Yeah, it needs to be solid, with solid foundations. And so this is the next step for us as we evolve the scheme. But I think it is important to do this not only because it gives the pledge the teeth and the accountability that is needed for it, but is also the fact that there's lots going on out there in terms of clients making decisions about things that they are going to require for their companies. Like P&G have said that they need organisations that supply online sample to be 2252, ISO 2252 certified by July of this year. The pledge is a really good way for organisations to be able to get ready to be able to do that kind of commitment. And these kinds of different schemes and different commitments and client expectations are only going to increase. So all I can do is encourage you to sign up to the pledge, because it is a massive, massive step change and is already starting to move the dial. But in order to understand really what buyers of sample are thinking, I'm now going to pass over to Melanie, who's going to talk a bit more about the GDQ research. Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you. Well, so this, they allowed me to present to you the data, which you guys know I love, so some actual metrics. The point of this is that, we're holding ourselves accountable to being more than a marketing campaign. Our drive with GDQ is to make positive change and to do more than study and talk about the problem and to do something to actually improve the problem. That's why these associations globally have all come together. And so we're going to hold ourselves accountable to that by doing something that actually hasn't been done in our profession before, and that's measurement. As a profession of measurement, we haven't measured the problem and then measured progress against the problem enough, and so we've taken steps towards beginning that journey. So there are two pieces here. The first is that through GRBN, as part of GDQ, we're measuring buyer sentiment, and then through the data collection process, we've actually established the first ever 8 quality benchmarks, and then we're going to be improving those over time, so I'm going to walk you through some of those early findings. First, overall satisfaction amongst buyers of online sample is high-ish among B2C sample buyers, but less so amongst B2B sample providers. I say high-ish because if you add the two dissatisfied, so you still get 28% people are either extremely or very or either somewhat or extremely dissatisfied with the quality of the B2C sample that you're getting. And if you look at B2B, it's 40%. So those numbers are high, and they should be lower. So you may have seen when we were in London that the reference to a third of clients are having some sort of a confidence crisis. And if the goal of GDQ is to improve confidence among buyers, we need to measure that. So we'll be running this study every 6 months and seeing if this is getting better or worse over time. I've been a member of this profession and a member at these tables for a really long time, and the conversation has just been a little too qualitative, and we want to take it and move it to a quantitative conversation. Are we or are we not getting better or worse? And so this is a measure from the buyer side. We're measuring what you guys have referred to as the iron triangle of satisfaction: speed, quality, and price. And so you can see that and this is indexed, but you can see that we're doing pretty well on speed and price, but we're not doing as well on quality. And so the 3 legs of the chair are not in equal balance right now. So that would suggest that perhaps we need to improve quality by changing a little bit of the speed and the price model and equation. Maybe we're doing a little too well on price. I would suggest that we are, especially since I know how expensive it is to actually put in all the tech that you need to do quality well. So when someone is selling at a really low price, what are they leaving off the table in order to meet that price? That might be another piece of research that we do, or another piece of guidance that we do in the coming years. And so you can see that among B2B, we're lower again than on B2C. But we're the highest on speed, and we're pretty high on price, but we're underscored on quality. And so we might, as a profession, we do need as a profession to really bring a new conversation to the table. And as Deborah pointed out, they're willing to pay more if we can put the right quality buying signals in place. And so the data quality pledge, the ISO certifications, the metrics, the transparency, these can all be quality buying signals to move us out of the lemon market of all I know is these prices are here. And so if I don't have a quality buying signal, I guess I'll just go with the cheaper price, as opposed to let's get the quality buying signals in place, prove quality, and then allow them to make more informed choices. And then maybe we can get the 3 legs of the stool in proper proportion, where they're all relatively equal because they're all equally important. So that's the 4 measures, really 5 measures that we're looking at from a buyer side. Again, we're going to measure those over time. That data, by the way, was collected globally. It represents Europe, it represents APAC, and it represents the US. It's not as representative of some of the countries as we want it to be, so we'll be adding in countries over time. But this is a great global number, and we'll be starting to provide breakouts by country in future waves as well. So then we moved into, okay, now we know how they're feeling, and we've got all these tools that we hope will improve how they're feeling over the next 6 months. But we know that there are several key indicators of quality that we should be able to measure as well. So we took on an actual data quality exercise. We're calling this Wave 0 because we actually learned a lot in Wave 0 that we're going to need to apply to our first actual Wave 1. So this is US data for this particular exercise. And what do we mean by a benchmark? We wanted a number for comparison purposes. When you look at a project and you say, how this project looks wonky, are there any signals that I can look at to know if this project, other than it feels weird and the data doesn't feel quite right, is there anything else I can look at? So we wanted to develop some benchmarks, and they're descriptive, but the end goal is for them to be normative. For you to be able to look at a study and say this study has an X% abandon rate, is that above or below the norm? It has an X% removal rate, is that above or below the norm? And this particular partner I have has a history of X% removal. Is that above or below the norm? And do I need to have a conversation with them? And then as a profession, are these norms going up or are they going down? And so, because you have sat at these tables and said, oh, I feel like it's getting worse. Oh, I feel like it's getting better. We should be able to measure that as a group of measurement professionals. So we established 8 preliminary benchmarks: device type, use of link encryption, which we talked about, length of interview, abandon rate, fraud removal rate, which is different than in-survey data quality removal rate, post-survey removal rates, and incidence rates. And these are designed to sort of go the gamut of a project, because data quality is not just about sampling, as everyone in this room knows. It's an important part, and fraud's an important part. But once you get them to a survey, the survey quality is important, the abandon rate is important, the satisficing is important, were they bored, was the survey too long? So all of these ladder up to the umbrella of data quality and not just fraud specifically. So let's get into it. Device type. In this benchmark wave 0, sample was 60.9% desktop. Now this represents 30 large companies that donated. We ended up with 1.2 million records. So we feel good about this being a wave 0 exercise, but we want even more records as we go globally. We'll be going globally in 6 months. And then we feel good about this data being representative of the US from a sample ecosystem perspective. Some people have been surprised by that 60.9, and they're like, oh, that's so high. Well, the reason it's high is because they know that it's much easier to take our very long surveys with very hard grids on a desktop device. So they acculturate to our ecosystem very quickly. Would that match the recruiting numbers? Probably not, definitely not. But if you're looking at survey takers tend to be 60.9% desktop according to this data. Agencies a little lower because they're working with client lists, because they're working with less acculturated participants, but on the agency side, 55.5. And if you'll pull up the report, which is on the GDQ website, and there'll be a link here in a few minutes, you'll actually be able to get the full report where we talk about other implications of each of these numbers. Use of link encryption, 71.2% on the supplier side and 62% on the agency side. And that's too low. This is one of the most basic things that we should do: secure our entry and exit links on our surveys. We need this number to get much closer to 100. Now, of course, there will always be exceptions. If we use an open survey with no incentive, because we're putting it out on LinkedIn and it's a professional survey and there's just nothing in it that a fraudster would possibly want to do to game the survey, then sure, we could have an open survey link for those purposes, but for the most part, in our sampling ecosystem, our surveys should be secure. And these numbers have come up in the last year, but they have more to go. There's more to do. I would love to see this closer, like around 90% by the time we come together next year. It seems like one of the simplest things we could do as a profession. Length of interview, right around 15 minutes. I remember someone saying that most of our surveys are 20 minutes these days. And from the data set that we got here in the US, it does seem like surveys are coming down a little bit in length, and so that's good news. 12 minutes on the agency side, the difference there probably being pre-screening, post-screening, and some activities that happen on the supplier side that are linked to a specific survey. And so around 15 minutes and around 12 minutes. And so we'd like to see those stay there or even be a little bit shorter. And what we hope is to see if this starts to creep up. Is data quality problems creeping up with it? We'll start to do side-by-side correlations to some of these benchmarks. Abandon rate, 23.3% on the supplier. Way too high, 1 in 5 people, right? That's extremely high, and it has an absolute impact on data quality. And 12% on the agency side. Now, some of the difference there is probably redirects that aren't occurring the way they should, and so someone doesn't make it all the way back to the person who sent them to their survey. And some of it also is that the agencies are probably doing simpler surveys on their side, and when the survey gets more complicated, more onerous, more hard to program, then they pop it over to a supplier. But 23.3% is too high. From a participant experience, from a data quality, a representation, it's just too high, and we need that number to come down. Because it will go, so if you're imagining that somebody abandons because the survey is either too long, broken, or boring, that's going to also eke into even the data that they give up to the point of abandon or to the people who stuck it out. Some of those satisficing, some of those randomization are just because they don't want to talk about crackers for 35 minutes, right? They don't want to do that, and so we should watch abandon rate as a core measure of the profession. Supplier removal rates. This is supply side, and I'm going to show you agency side. So first, we have broken this into two things: true fraud removal rates, and then total removals, meaning in-survey and post-survey clean-out rates. The supplier rate of true fraud removal at the front door is 4%. Now, you'll see in the paper that I said that's probably too low because our in-survey and post-survey clean-out rates are too high. And so we should be capturing more of those at the front door through better tech, through better secure in-links. And so the total removal rates on the supplier side are 21.4%. Now, if you've heard that 40% number across the industry floating around, here's where that number is. So on the agency side, they're removing 4% true fraud at the front door, but they're removing 43% of data through in-survey and post-survey clean-out. That number is way too high as a profession. 4 out of 10. It's 40%. It's too much. And so what we need to do is bring that number down through better upfront security, better design of the surveys, better secure in-links, all the things that are part of that GDQ pledge, and all the things that are part of the tools that we've loaded onto the GDQ website. So 43%. And then incidence rate. The suppliers are saying that the mean incidence sold rate is 44%. But that the mean incident, the agencies are saying their actual incidence rates are 26%. So there's a mismatch also in the targeting, in trying to get the right people to the survey, in selling it at 44%, but then delivering it much lower. So there's a bunch of innovation and technology application that needs to happen here as well. And so this is another sort, if we can target better, if we can find people in a more accurate way and get the right people into the right surveys, also an indicator of quality of the data that lands in the final data set. So our next steps on this particular body of work are to redesign the data collection, redesign the tool, redesign the contribution forms, because there were a lot of errors, a lot of blanks. We actually had to write Python code to restructure the unstructured data that we were given. So our next step is to improve that data collection, to launch it globally with all of our partners, and then to repeat that 2 times annually. We actually plan to launch the next data collection form in May, collect Q1 data, and then report it out, and then we'll do that twice a year, so that we can see how we're doing over time. Hold ourselves accountable to making change, and if we're not making change and the numbers aren't improving, figure out a new path forward. So that's the Global Data Quality collaboration. I hope that you will go to globaldataquality.org. You'll notice that none of us mentioned our own associations here. This is not about our associations. This is about the profession at large, a profession that we deeply care about, and that we hope that you will join us on this journey. We are going to make this a success. We are going to create a better ecosystem of quality buying signals for buyers. We are going to improve data quality, and you do want to come on this journey with us. And so we encourage you to review, utilize, and share the tools and the guidance materials. Provide us feedback. We're going to be here at the tables in a few minutes. So if any of this sounds great, sounds terrible, if you think we're missing something, if you have questions, we hope that you'll find us and have those conversations with us. Participate in this benchmarking initiative, because if as a profession we can't measure it, then we measure what we care about. And so let's measure it, and let's make sure we're making progress. Engage in the working committees and commit to that pledge, because it is going to be a buying signal for buyers around the world. Thank you very much.